The next time you're hunting a new area, keep this mapping method in mind. Jared Larson of OnX shares his favorite whitetail mapping strategy to get on deer faster. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Here we go. I wanted to ask what you think maybe most people overlook or don't consider when it comes to mapping for whitetails.
Yeah, so a couple things that I would touch on is really understanding the terrain you're hunting and like why that terrain matters to deer. Um, so for instance, if you don't know how to really detailed read a topo map, go learn. I mean, there are hundreds of YouTube videos that walk you through that. And I'm pretty sure you guys have made
Yeah.
multiple YouTube videos on reading topography to understand deer movement and understanding what a funnel is, what a pinch point is, because those things are transferable whether you're hunting Mississippi, Montana, or Wisconsin. Deer utilize terrain in a very similar manner, and they understand what is going to keep them safe, what is going to keep them in favorable wind conditions, how the thermals work within that. And so that I would say is the biggest takeaway, being a map guy and being a whitetail guy, is just understanding that terrain. And one really useful feature within the OnX Hunt app to help depict and help you learn is the slope angle layer.
I
If
love
you
that.
go into
I call it topo for dummies.
yes, 100%. It is. If you go into the land and access folder and flip on slope angle, it's going to illuminate different colors based on the degree of slope of any given piece of ground. And so if it's green, it's going to be pretty flat. If it's red, it's going to be steeper than steep. And so you can really utilize that and pair that with our topo map or our hybrid map to understand what the terrain is doing based on those topo lines. And so like a couple of my favorite terrain features to hunt is uh, right off of the leeward side of a saddle. Those deer are they know where the easiest point to cross a ridge is. It's always going to be in the saddle. And those saddles often lead to a little bit more mellow draws down down a creek draw, or down the mountain, or whatever it is. I love hunting the backside of saddles, catching those cruising bucks, especially during the rut. Another I wrap it in with terrain, and I mentioned it earlier in the podcast here, is river bottoms. I have become in love with hunting river bottoms, and one big reason is because wind is so much more consistent when you have moving water. Like even if I have a 2-mile-an-hour wind out here in Montana and I'm in a river bottom, I know where my wind is going. It's going to be consistent. It's going to be dropping down into that river. And so often you're able to hunt an edgier wind, or, what a lot of guys maybe wouldn't hunt that wind. If you are near moving water, you can kind of cheat the wind direction in a lot of regards. So that's something that I've really found a lot of value in, and it holds true next to like a lake or just a large body of water in general. They often really affect the way the wind works, and often will just give you a lot more room for error than in other places. The other thing, which I'll get here maybe a little bit too early after you asked me to break down this buck that I shot, but is copy and pasting the terrain that you've had prior success in to new areas. Like it's deer are deer are deer. They love habitat diversity. They need water and they need food. So if you have an area that you found a lot of past success in, whether that's public ground or private ground, if you analyze that topography, you analyze that habitat, that vegetation, and you can find similarities to that exact spot in other spots, there's a high likelihood that it's going to hold deer. And especially if you have a spot that holds mature bucks, more than likely, if you find similar terrain, similar vegetation, similar cover, holding hunting pressure similar, you're going to be able to utilize that past knowledge, that past success to create future success.
That's huge. I think that's such a great element. And I think everyone starts to naturally gravitate towards something that works for them. And for you, it's river bottoms. And once you walk different farms or different areas, and a trigger usually goes off in your brain, like, oh, this reminds me of this other spot. And I assume exactly what you're talking about.
100%.